Welcome, welcome to episode 3 of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms and our rambling review of it. So,
Our Rambleview.
Rambleview, I think it's got to be the title of it.
We got to trademark that.
Yeah. From the top level, I think this is obviously another great episode, and rewatching it, I forgot how much it kind of just soaks in the moment of the tourney and everything. And so as I was watching it, I was like, wait, I know I just said that I think I like every episode more than the last, but this is a little bit slower. Not a lot happening, so I don't know actually if episode 3 is better than episode 2.
I think
but then
it
about
is.
10 minutes, about 10 minutes into it, I'm just like, I just love hanging out with Dunk and Egg.
Exactly. I mean, their relationship is just, it's so sweet and tender. And it's evolving nicely, and those moments where they're just talking about stuff is great. I mean, for being a medieval fantasy, you'd expect lots of fighting, and the best moments are the quiet ones.
Yes, absolutely. I love how the shots in this too, like when Dunk and Egg are talking. I think we mentioned in episode 1 too. It's not just like cut, close up, dialogue, response. It's very just. Let's just have them talk.
Yeah.
And look at each other.
It's very organic.
Smile. Yeah, just taking in the surroundings and everything. There are a few moments where Dunk is like just looking at Egg after they have an exchange or something, and he's just like smiling, like, well, this kid's really growing up. And there's moments where Egg is just smiling and taking in whatever Dunk said or taking in the moment and everything. It's like you said, super organic. You could tell, it feels like Dunk and Egg are actually brothers. So
yeah, they really, I think in real life, they probably really are fond of each other.
Yeah, I would hope so. I think they've done a lot of interviews and stuff too, and they seem like they have that natural kind of chemistry. So I like to think that they hang out sometimes, just as dudes, like.
I don't know if Peter could get Dexter into a bar, but.
Well, I think now, after season 1 of this, I think they probably could. It's like, hey man, it's fucking Dunk and Egg. Like, come on, let the kid in. You know?
I did notice because the first episode started off with shitting, and then the second episode started off with dong, and they were back. This episode starts off with the horse was taking a dump when Egg was talking to him.
Yep. I watched the behind the scenes of that too. Apparently, it wasn't like necessarily planned. They were probably sitting there for a little bit waiting for the horse to poop. But the showrunner for this episode, or director of this episode, whatever, she was just like, oh, it was a gift from the gods that the horse was just staring deadpan into the camera and shit. That, like, perfect. So that was real horse shit.
We move on to some really sweet moments between Dunk and Egg. But another one of our favorite characters is back, the Spitting Man.
Yep, I have a few thoughts about the Spitting Man. Sir spits a lot.
That's his name from now on.
Yes, yeah. He's not an actual knight or anything, but I think he's earned it with his exemplary performance in hawking a loogie.
I found it interesting when Sir Spitz-a-Lot was walking with Dunk and proposing he fight someone. I forget the name of the guy, but he wants Dunk to unmount somebody in the lance tourney. And he said something at the end like, you'll have money, you can do this and that, you won't have to sleep under an elder tree. I think he said elder tree. And Dunk was like, it's an elm. Like, Dunk is homeless. He's not even a legitimate knight. And he's taking pride in the fact that he sleeps under an elm tree and not an elder tree.
Yeah.
I found that interesting, that part of his personality.
Yeah, it's kind of like, it's taking pride in what he has, which is core to Dunk. He wants to make sure that, like, everyone knows, like, no, I like my elms, okay? That's what I sleep under.
And he was the same way with, what was his master's name? Arlen? Arlen, yeah. He was, he's always talking Arlen up to everybody. He was a great master. He was a great knight. He taught me well, took care of me, da 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 da. he doesn't want to walk around saying, yeah, I was kind of the squire of this destitute hedge knight who kind of roughed me up a bit. And you know, I don't care what tree I sleep under. He does care. He does try to look on the bright side of things.
Yeah. I wonder, I don't know the difference between an elder, and an elm tree, but I wonder if that's something that he's picked up through sleeping under trees. Like, nah, alder trees, no, they're way too leaky. Elm trees are where it's at. That's what I sleep under.
Yeah.
So I'm an old hand at this. You know, I have skill in choosing what tree to sleep under. Okay.
Believe me, I know what trees to sleep under.
Right. That's not the flex you think it is, Duncan.
Exactly.
And even before getting to that point, there's a few interesting notes I wanted to make about Egg and Dunk, because they have a good bit just kind of on their own throughout this episode. But the episode starts with Egg taking the horse to train.
Oh yeah.
So Egg knows that having Dunk a different rider than Arlen, right? He's much larger, so it might set the horse off. The horse might not be necessarily prepared to charge with this larger man on him.
Yeah.
But of course, you know, Egg can't really like teach that to Dunk. So when Egg comes back with the horse, right, and Dunk is asking him, where were you, whatever, and he's working on his patch, and Egg is like, hey, shouldn't I be doing that job? And Dunk is like, you weren't here, so what do you mean? And Egg looks down ashamed and whatnot. I think one, because he's not living up to Dunk's standard, but I think mostly it's because he's having to lie. He's having to keep up this ruse about his identity. But he's still looking out for Dunk by training the horse. Like, he wants to do everything he can to make sure Dunk is going to be successful while still lying to him about his identity, which, you know, I guess we haven't said it directly yet, but yes, of course, this is the episode where Egg's identity is revealed. And so I just thought that was interesting. Like, it wasn't a normal kind of level of shame I felt from Egg. It was that dual kind of, I'm not living up to Dunk, and man, I keep having to lie to him in order to make sure he succeeds, and this feels shitty.
Yeah, and it was funny that, you know, Dunk didn't sit around and wait for him to show back up and give him something to sew. He's still so used to being the squire that he's like, oh, well, Egg's not here, I better sew this up. And then they had that really cute moment where he was teaching him how to sew. Yeah. And I swear that last line, when Dunk, the actor Peter, is looking at Egg like, oh, you got it? Yeah. He like, when Egg, and we couldn't see it. We didn't have the right angle. That's why I think it was a real genuine moment that Egg must have gotten the stitch right. And Peter, he was really proud of him.
Yeah.
And
I
so
can totally see that.
Yeah, that goes to show their real life relationship is mirrored in the show, and it's just for the content in the show, it's weird to say that it's wholesome.
Right.
But what's going on between them is wholesome.
Absolutely. I love that. And even leading up to that, you know, Dunk is trying to be harder with Egg because he wasn't there to do the patch and whatever. And he tells him, yeah, like, do all these chores and then you'll get some hard salt beef for breakfast. And Egg was like, yeah, I'd rather eat the horse. And Dunk says, you'll eat my fist. And then, you know, Egg kind of upset, starts walking away. And that's when Dunk is just like I don't want to be that guy, you know, like, never mind that. And then they have their little moment, stitching and whatnot. And it's funny how much more natural Dunk feels teaching Egg how to patch, and he looks and sounds and feels kind of unnatural saying, you'll eat my fist, because that was like totally out of left field. Yes, he says, oh, you know, a clout in the ear, whatever, but he always says it with a bit of levity. And in episode 2, he says to Egg, if you steal my stuff, I'll chase you with dogs and stuff. Like, it's always kind of like just a comical and light, threatening.
And it's funny how sure of himself he is, Dunk, interacting with Egg, but then he goes into the town to buy eggs to eat, and he's just awkward as can be. With the shopkeeper, there was a language barrier there, but he's just, and then Tansel, Tansel walks by, and he's just flustered, and he's at home with Egg. But when he has to go interact with other adults, he's shy, reserved, awkward, It's a weird dichotomy.
Yeah, I love that interaction when Egg comes back up to him after the awkward interaction with Tansel, and he's just like, ooh, ooh.
Exactly. I like it when they talk like each other. Like,
oh, that was so great. I love that part too. Yeah, like, and that was what I was talking about, where like the camera was kind of just soaking in their reactions, and Egg like he's like when Dunk starts mocking him like that. Oh, I eat grapes and whatever. Dunk or Egg has such an authentic, bright smile, just like, this is what I want from a brother, not my crazy Targaryen brothers. You know, right. I want Dunk as my brother. That would be the best.
and I know from making short films myself, like when you capture those moments, like maybe it was a wide shot of the two of them, but their interaction was so golden. And then, you know, you're going to have the director says, cut, that was great. And the cinematographer is going to say, okay, now let's get over here for the close-up. And the director's like, no, you cannot recapture that. That was a moment. We're just going to use the wide shot. Because, like you said, some of these moments weren't the best camera angles, but they're so genuine that you go with it.
Yeah, and it helps get you into that mindset of, like, living in there in the moment with them. Because it's not so manufactured. It is just,
yes, exactly.
Hey, we got a perfect, natural, organic flow in this shot. That's what we're using.
Yep,
so
let's go with that.
One note before we continue on here, though, is during the training sequence that Egg was doing with the horse, one, all of his moves and take it, Sir Duncan, take the weapon, you know, he's practicing all this stuff. It's super cute. He also meets a random, like, kind of wandering guy, one-eyed guy, and one of the lines that Egg delivers is kind of like core to Dunk and Egg, and kind of highlights a feature of their relationship, where the wanderer tells him, oh, you're too small to be a squire, and Egg says, I serve Sir Duncan the Tall, he's big enough for the both of us. And that kind of goes into the whole Egg is insecure about his size. Dunk makes up for that. Dunk is insecure about his stupidity. Egg makes up for that. And I think it just goes to show, like, from Egg's perspective, that he is leaning on Dunk for his size in that way to make up for that character flaw as he sees it. You know, he's too puny to be a knight. Well, if I'm with Sir Duncan, he's big enough for both of us. I'm smart enough for the both of us. That's so core to their relationship, especially, I think, going forward, now that Dunk knows who Egg is and whatnot. There's a lot of damage done to the relationship. And we'll see, like, at the end of this episode, Dunk's face, he's not relieved when Egg reveals himself. He's upset. He's hurt.
Yeah.
And so, shocked. Yeah, and obviously shocked. And so, like, what is going to bring them back together? What's going to bind them back as brothers? And I think this is probably the driving factor of we make up for each other's flaws. Mm-hmm. And Egg saw that right away, probably as soon as he came into that inn in episode 1. He was like, this is a big dude. And then through those conversations with Dunk, he starts to understand that this guy's not like all the other knights, you know, at King's Landing, who suck up to my father and behind closed doors are major assholes and all this and that. They aren't honorable, but this guy is, and he's huge. I'm going to stake my existence on being this man's squire to fill those gaps in what he sees in his own character.
Opposites
So I thought that was a
attract.
really nice, yeah. And so I thought that was a really nice line from Egg, that he's basically giving up the game of why he is so invested in Dunk specifically.
Mm-hmm. Their yin and yang relationship is I can relate it in my own experience of watching a reality show of all things, Amazing Race, which, you know, we watched while you were growing up.
Yeah.
The best teams have one good physical person and one good, smart, like, puzzle-oriented person. So that's exactly what Dunk and Egg are doing here. Who was that guy with the one eye? They said his name. I forget. But
Robin Riesling.
Riesling, right. I thought it was weird because it was ISO. Because they show how he lost the eye.
Oh, yeah. That was, oh, man. Just, like, watching the eye dangle out of his face, and he's just like, yeah, let's go.
Does he come back in this season?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We'll see him again in under a different context.
Yeah, okay.
But yes.
I mean, I figured that was a setup. He's going to be back, and I've watched the season. I just don't remember which episode he comes back. But, yeah, so that was a nice setup there for his character to come back later.
Yes. His most interesting line, of course, is if it is madness bid, it is madness delivered. He sees himself as a vessel of the warrior god, one of the 7 gods of their pantheon or whatever. Interesting character. We'll see a little bit more of him later.
Okay.
But for now, before we actually get the breakfast scenes and whatnot, Dunk is vomiting all morning while Egg was singing a song. I think I alluded to this song maybe in episode 1 because I forgot exactly where it happened. It's this song where Egg is singing about the Blackfire Rebellion. Maker was the firstborn, blah, blah, blah. And I didn't really pay attention to the lyrics the first watch through, but rewatching it, it's like, it's so funny how one line leads into the next. Like, like you're a Blackfire country, like Blackfire country, like it just carries into the next line. So
it reminds me
really
of
fun.
that scene from Austin Powers where they're launching the missiles and they keep cutting to different people saying, "Oh my God," like a missile launches and they say, "Oh my God, look at the size of that." And then they cut to an army guy who says, "Johnson, get over here right now."
Yeah. Yeah, it was great. I completely forgot about that in Austin Powers, but yeah, it's very Austin Powers. And Dunk was vomiting all morning, but Egg schools him that today's not your day, man. Which again, it's like, Egg, why do you know this stuff?
Very talented.
But yes, Dunk is still not picking up on any of it.
Oh no.
I think just by the accents too, like Egg does not sound like he's from the country, Dunk. He does not sound like an orphan boy from Flea Bottom. Dunk, did you see any orphan boys in Flea Bottom that sounded like that? Come on, man. He's very posh.
Oh yeah. And he knows things.
Yeah. Knows things he shouldn't. And for the vomiting too, Dunk, or the actor Peter Claffey, they got the idea to have Dunk like vomiting in the background and stuff like that because when Peter Claffey came in to interview or audition, apparently he was throwing up the entire time because he was so nervous about getting the part.
Oh.
So it was like, oh yeah, we'll put that little character touch in there for Dunk as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, they head into town like we said, get the goose eggs, and I think this is where in episode 1 we were talking about how in medieval inns and stuff they look so cozy and appetizing. Even if it's dingy and dirty, if it's dirty and dingy, it's always presented as like this is a feast. And so this is where we get that scene. When we were in the inn, we get the lady, fucking taking a swig, giving him the shit. It looks gross. But this, when Dunk was making the breakfast and Egg is just like looking at it, he was looking at it like it's the best meal he's ever seen. And this is a kid who grew up in the palace, eating literally the best food that you could get. But this is what looks good because it's Dunk making it with him, sharing that moment, bonding, and man, it looks so tasty. Those sandwiches were so good. And I think an interesting detail was Egg's sandwich was like twice as thick as Dunk's. Yeah. So Dunk is like, I'm gonna make sure this little kid can get his fill. I'm sure if Egg didn't finish it, Dunk would, but his priority is Egg, like not necessarily himself.
And I'm shocked at how large goose eggs are. Those are way bigger than the eggs I make.
Yeah, I remember, like, I was remembering the scene before I rewatched it and thinking like, yeah, those egg yolks were huge. So when he was picking up the goose eggs, I was imagining them to be like ostrich eggs, I think is kind of like those giant ones.
Yeah.
But I was thinking, like, in my memory, that's how big the eggs were. But then to see him actually holding the eggs, like, that's actually really small. But it's all yolk in there. Yeah. It's just filled to the brim. Because, yeah, those were giant eggs. And so Duncan, of course, enjoying the tourney and soaking that up. I really like the music. The little whistling track that they have is very just fun and whimsical and kind of understated, of just two bros hanging out, enjoying the day of the carnival circus, in this case, a tourney. And they're much more into it today than they were last night.
Oh, Egg was
because
time of his life.
Yeah, and they're thinking we don't have to do anything today. Last night it was
Right.
like, oh man, on the morrow I have to joust and do all that stuff. But then once it was clear that he's not jousting today, he's like, oh shit, okay, let's just have a good time.
Day
It was so
off.
much fun.
It's like
Yeah,
it's like
day
taking you to Disney World for the day or something when you were little.
Right. But yeah, so they're just having a good time, and I actually watched the behind the scenes for episodes 2 and 3. They're like together, so shout out from us large creators to, I know, the official Game of Thrones channel. They probably need a little bump from us advertising them, giving them a little plug here. Go check out the official Game of Thrones channel. But they have awesome behind the scenes for this entire show.
Okay.
And the horse stuff, like we were saying in the previous episode, all real, except for like the close-up impact shots.
Mm-hmm.
They're riding like wooden horses, but everything else, like with the guys falling off and the horses falling down, except for the horse flip. The horse flip was another mechanical wooden horse.
Mm.
But all the other stuff where the horses are crashing through the lists and stuff, all real. They actually had horses just plowing through. They were like foam. They made the separators out of like foam.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously it wouldn't hurt the horse or anything, but that one where the guy is like spinning around and the horse falls on him and stuff, like that was a real horse falling. Yeah.
Oh wow.
And even in this instance where I think we're just getting to it now with Arian and how he stabs Sir Humphrey's horse, that horse like fell and was like kind of like trying to get back up, and that added to it looking like it was dying.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so like that was real, the horse falling down. I don't know how it doesn't actually like break the actor's leg, because it looks like it just falls on his leg.
I know. It's crazy. But I mean, they've literally been doing those type of horse stunts for decades, maybe 100 years in movies,
Yeah. And for those wide shots, the jousting wide shots, real. They made like 200 different lances, and on the tips, they made them like really soft or whatever, so they would explode into those splinters and not like actually deliver an impact to the jousters.
Right.
But the guy like scooping down to get his shield and all that, real. That was a dude who actually was in full armor, scooped down to get his shield and continue jousting and stuff. Like, it's so cool.
I can imagine like a specialized horse rider saying, "Yeah, I can lean off and scoop up and pick up something off the ground, but you want me to do it in full armor?"
Yeah. Yeah, and that
That's
was that
insane.
dude. His helmet was like kind of like small on his face, but then it had like a kind of big, kind of like not a plume, but whatever ornamental thing. So it's like trying to lean down and like keep the helmet on without it like dragging you down and all that's like, oh man, it was skill. And of course, all those horse riders were the stuntmen and not the actual actors, right?
Right.
I'm sure some of the actors for the knights are just stuntmen because we don't see their faces mostly.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just utter skill. It was a really fun behind the scenes to watch. So
Yeah, definitely check that out. But referring to the horse, is it pronounced Arian? Is that his name?
mm-hmm. Arian Bright Flame.
Bright Flame. We see what a truly evil dick he is.
Yes. And as he comments, he believes himself to be a dragon. When he comes out to face, one of the challengers, he's there to specifically call someone out, one of the champions from a previous tourney, so that way he could prove himself. So the first guy he has who's standing there is Prince Valar, which is Baelor's son.
Oh, right.
And we don't see much of the wider Targaryen family, but this is Baelor's son. We'll see a little bit more of him later, but he doesn't play a big role. And he's there. He's ready. He's on the champion's row, as the game master refers to it as when he's talking to Dunk. Mm-hmm. And Arian says, "Oh, I won't embarrass you today." Probably because Arian would get his ass kicked. I mean, there's a reason why Valar is on champion's row and Arian isn't, right?
Mm-hmm. So, can straighten this out for me. Baelor is the king.
Mm-hmm. No. Baelor is the heir to the throne.
Okay. And his brother is Maekar, the white-haired guy.
Yes.
And Arian is whose son? Baelor or Maekar?
Maekar. It's his second
Maekar.
son.
Okay. So Maekar and Baelor are brothers.
Yep.
But Baelor is older, so he's the heir.
Yep.
Okay, and so Valar is Baelor's son.
Yep.
Because he has the darker hair as well.
Yes.
Okay. Just getting it all straight.
Yep. There's actually a note I want to make about the family tree a little bit later when Raymond is talking to Dunk at the end of this episode. So I'll expound on that a little bit more.
Okay.
Because I'm gonna blow your mind. I guarantee.
Okay.
So be prepared. You might want to get like a net behind you to catch it all.
Okay.
I did want to make a note about the Game Master conversation too. Yeah, Dunk and Egg were just soaking up in between bouts. They had their morning breakfast. They watched some of the tourney. I guess they were breaking for lunch, and they're on this hill. Egg is fantasizing about winning a great campaign for his lord to marry the second most beautiful daughter. To which Dunk is like, why not the most? And he's like, well, you've already married the most beautiful, of course. So we have that cute little moment and them just kind of smiling and enjoying each other's company. But then the Game Master comes up, and when he's like, Sir Dunk, and then it zooms in on the Game Master, and he's loading up a loogie, and then it cuts to a close-up of Dunk and the Game Master just walking along the river, and he spits there. Like he winds it up in the zoomed out shot and then spits it in the close. Like this dude just, that's all he does all day, every day. If you're thinking like, oh, I chew gum all day or whatever, like this is this guy's gum, is the hawking loogies.
Yeah. There must be bad pollen. I mean, he's got allergies or something.
Yeah, like I have a note. Yeah, like he cannot keep his sinuses clear. He's not in his element here. He needs to, I don't know, go to Dorne, go to the desert or something.
Probably.
And he wanted to fix one of the bouts between Sir Duncan and the Lord Ashford, where they are, right. Ashford Meadow. He wanted between him and his son. And Dunk, of course, takes this as like a slight against his honor. But it does provide him with what he needs. He's so concerned about losing all of his stuff to the winner. But this will make it sure that he not only wins and gets some renown, but also gets the horse, the armor, the weapons from Sir Andrew. And throughout this episode, we see him kind of like conflicted. We do see him kind of make eye contact with the Game Master later on when they're walking through the little like market and stuff. And he's still conflicted about it. He doesn't know. Of course, his answer was no off the bat. And the Game Master says, just think on it. And Dunk is really considering it. He thinks that this could be a way for him to set himself up and make sure that Egg can squire for him. And because he's not only concerned about, of course, being a knight himself, but he's got Egg to worry about. He does want him to be a squire. And whenever Egg brings it up, Dunk's main concern is, well, if I don't even win, if I lose, then I won't be a knight. You can't be my squire. So he's kind of been putting off that whole conversation with Egg of, can I be your squire forever or just at the tourney? Right. He keeps putting it off because he doesn't know.
He doesn't know if he has a future.
For him to know.
Yeah,
exactly. This is a way for him to take that future. And the interesting dialogue here is when Dunk says, I don't want a win that I haven't earned. And the Game Master says, but haven't you earned it? You're a hedge knight who's been doing good across the realm, with your master for little to nothing in gain. So haven't you already kind of won this? If this is your future to be a knight, haven't you already won that by proving yourself of knightly virtue, and now you just need the money for it, which none of these lords will give you? This is a way for you to get it. This is your reward for all the time you have spent with Ireland doing good.
But so what is Andrew's impetus for wanting to throw it? Because he's going to have to give up his horse and his armor. I mean, that doesn't sound like a smart move.
Yeah, so Sir Andrew is the heir, I believe, to Ashford Meadow. So it's the Lord's son. And the Game Master, he starts the conversation off with Dunk saying, would it surprise you if I told you Lord Ashford spent way too fucking much on this tourney and that our flocks are collapsing and there's concern about him, being able to pay taxes and whatnot?
So
And Dunk was
the Lord, the father, is going to tell his son, throw this, because I'm going to bet against you.
Yep.
I got you.
Yep. And Dunk was like, "Ugh, I have no money. You know, I can't help out. I don't have any money." And the game master is just like, "Oh, you sweet child. We're not asking you for money. We actually want to give you a reward, kind of."
Exactly.
But it's just, his smile, the game master's smile of like, "I'm talking to an idiot. We don't want you to pay us, Dunk. We know you don't have any money."
That moment he realizes he needs to use smaller words.
Yeah. He needs to lay it out a bit clearer. It was so good. And then we have the whole interaction with Arian and killing Sir Humphrey's horse, and Egg yells out, "Kill him! Kill him!" And the look on Dunk's face was just like, who is this kid?
Yeah, well, we need to take you home now, boy.
Yeah. Like, I know he didn't learn that from me. What, like, we're just sitting here enjoying the tourney, watching people get knocked off horses. That's all good fun and games.
And
now you're saying kill him. At
this point, you're thinking, wow, Egg's really sensitive to animal cruelty.
Yeah.
and he could very well be, but that's not why he was yelling, "Kill him."
Yeah. And of course, Egg is revealed at the end to be, that's his brother Arian, of course. Mm-hmm. And we'll get a little bit more color to why Egg doesn't like him in the next episode. But safe to say, there's bad blood between the brothers.
Well, and also it was a really interesting foreshadowing after Dunk saw Sir Spitz-a-Lot in the market, and then a psychic woman walked up.
Yes, I wanted to mention that too, yeah.
Yeah, so she gives Dunk a little preview of his future, and Dunk's like, "Oh yeah, none of this is real. Why don't you do the boy?" And she had a very chilling reveal for Egg's future.
Yep.
And that shook him.
Yeah.
And Dunk's like, "Ha, well, that was a good one." But, I mean, she said he's going to grow up to be king and die in a fire and everyone's going to hate him.
Yeah. Basically, yeah. You will become king. Worms will feed on your ashes. You'll die in a fire. And everyone who knows you will rejoice in your death.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, what the fuck? Of course, Dunk, he's seen these fortune tellers and stuff before. It's all bullshit to him. But interesting.
Well, especially from Dunk's point of view, how on earth could this squire ever become a king?
Yeah. It's obviously bullshit because
he's like, "This crazy old woman, that was a good story."
Yeah. And interestingly, that's the same actress as the innkeeper lady.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I don't know if it's just, reusing an actress because the face is obscured, so like we can. It's like, oh yeah, we liked her acting, we can give her another little bit part. I think though, there may be some other shenanigans going on which are outside the purview of the show, at least so far, and kind of delve into more of like the meta stuff in George Martin's world. And like the theories and whatnot. So I'll make a brief comment on that a little bit later when we start going a little bit more into the family tree during Raymond's conversation. So I'll make a mention of it. But if anyone is interested in the deeper lores and theories and stuff like that, this is another, we're big time creators. So I'm shouting out a smaller creator with only like 3 or 4 million subscribers. But Alt Shift X is fantastic. He does awesome breakdowns of not only like the theories and stuff, but also episode reviews and things. So this is a shout out for, him. He can thank me later. I'll accept a check.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you're welcome. So I know I'm just plugging small creators here, Game of Thrones and Alt Shift X, but he definitely, I will butcher it. Yeah, I will butcher the theories and whatnot in a little bit. So if you want the actual stuff, go find those creators. They're much better. That fortune teller lady, it's more to her, I think, than meets the eye. But yeah, she scares the shit out of Egg. He is super shook by that. He's like, "Oh no."
Yeah.
And when she says it, he's just like, "What? Why would you say that?" And Doug doesn't pay any mind. Just why wouldn't she say what? What are you talking about? Come on, let's go.
Yeah, and those two right after this, I think it was right after this scene, they go to Lionel's tent. Lionel's hanging around. He's got a bit part in this episode of carousing, and they're very off in the corner, quiet and somber, and The crowd is singing a song, and that's a really funny exchange with Dunk and Egg, where Egg's like, so they wrote a song about a woman who pleasures men's bums, and they
Mm-hmm.
didn't use her real name. I thought that was a great little conversational interaction between the two of them.
Yeah. I love that. I say that about every interaction. I love that interaction.
I know.
Obviously, I love the show. So if that's repetitive, apologies. But yeah, when Dunk and Egg are talking about like the philosophy behind the song, and like you said, like Dunk is like they don't, yeah, they don't even have her name. Like I'm sure there's a lesson in that because Dunk, that's how he sees the world. You know, Sir Arlen isn't remembered by any of the people that he helped and whatnot. So it makes sense to him that they wouldn't remember and document the name of the whore who was so good at pleasuring men in the bum. But Egg takes that in such a different direction that really makes Dunk scratch his head
Yeah.
at the end of the conversation of like, huh, you know, Egg equates it to it's the soul of a dogged spirit. You know, it's hope. All who invoke her like claim her or own her or whatever it was, and so Egg is equating this whore with three fingers who gives two more than what was paid for, or the whole arm bone, as it were. That like she's giving more than what's required of her. She's giving more. That's the spirit of, you know, that's the heart of a dogged spirit, and that's hope. That's pining for something that more than what you have or what you were given, and using it to your advantage and whatnot. So Egg takes like a very philosophical, hopeful meaning to this, where Dunk was just taking it at face value of like, oh yeah, you know, whatever.
It's a drinking
And
song.
so exactly. And so Dunk is sitting there like kind of thinking, and I made a note that that's kind of the other part of where Egg was saying Sir Duncan is big enough for the both of us. Egg is here Dunk is here thinking, man, Egg is really smart, and he's talking about he's equating this to like honor and hope, and he's a smart kid, huh? He's really making me think.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm sure in Dunk's Egg he's thinking, maybe if not in a direct way, thinking Egg is really making up for my lack of smarts, you know, like
Right.
I'm getting more out of the world with Egg here talking to me about it and philosophizing about it and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And so that just,
And in his thought process, I'm sure he's not thinking of those words. He's just like, I should keep this kid around.
yeah,
He can help me.
right.
Yeah.
So like indirectly, I think, yeah, he was at least making the same connection that Egg is making about their relationship. So I thought that was a really fun interaction.
Yeah.
And with Lionel, you know, he's very with Lords, you know, being very uptight and whatnot. Typically, Lionel just accepting a dude mime putting a hand up his ass,
Yeah. Exactly.
like he's very comfortable with that. He's probably had that happen before.
Oh yeah.
You know, just feeding into the Lionel. You know, like
Mystique.
he's not your straight edge sword that you would expect in a time like this.
No.
But yeah, then after that, they meet up with Raymond Fossaway. And I didn't catch it the first time, but Raymond, when Egg goes to the performer's tent because he doesn't want Raymond to recognize him. He knows Raymond is a lord who might recognize him. So like he's kind of like, you know, like, oh, I could go over here, sir. You could go with Raymond. I could go over here, whatever. And when Duncan and Raymond are walking away, Raymond like looks back at Egg and he's like he kind of like double takes a little bit. And he's like, I know that kid from somewhere.
Yeah, but he looks different for some reason.
Exactly. Yeah. That can't be. He's probably thinking a Targaryen with a bald head. No, they love their blonde hair and whatever. He's probably seen Egg with hair.
Right.
And Egg, we see, you know, at a certain point, obviously his hair has to grow back in a little bit at some point, right? It is white. It is blonde. So like he would be one of those quintessential poster boy Targaryens with the kind of hair that like Maekar has.
Mm-hmm.
And so like it's definitely throwing Raymond off, but Raymond definitely is like, man, that kid is so familiar. And so we're moving into this last little chunk of the episode with Raymond and Dunk talking, and we get a very interesting perspective difference between Dunk and Raymond, because they're talking about Aryan killing the horse.
And Raymond has thoughts.
Yes. So Dunk doesn't believe that Aryan would do that intentionally.
Right.
He did make a comment during it saying like, oh, his point is too low.
Right.
And him and Egg had kind of exchanged about it. Egg saying that was no accident.
Right.
But Dunk is still there thinking like, well, it's a knight and a prince at that. So he's got to be honorable, right? He's still in this mindset of lords and knights are honorable and virtuous.
Right.
But Raymond sets him, right. He calls the Targaryens incestuous aliens, blood magicers, tyrants who burned our lands and enslaved our people. And the most honorable thing a Targaryen can do for this land is finish on his wife's tits. And the look on Dunk's face, I feel like he was conflicted between defending the prince. Not that he has any personal connection to the Targaryens he's talking about, other than Egg, right? But he doesn't know that. So he doesn't have any personal connection to them. But the look on his face was like, I kind of want to punch Raymond for being so disrespectful to who I see as probably honorable knights and lords and princes. Because also, Baelor had let him know you can fight in the lists. Like, one of these Targaryens that Raymond is slandering here was super honorable to Dunk. So I think he's conflicted between wanting to defend them and also like, this is how people see them?
Yeah.
Holy shit, dude. And Raymond, of course, has to kind of like right himself, like, sorry, I'm carried away there.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's super obvious to everyone that Aryan did that on purpose. And I like how in that interaction, after Aryan did that, the crowd gets all crazy and Baelor gives him just like a disappointed look, like, I fucking knew he was going to do that. Yeah. I fucking wish he wouldn't. Like, this was a diplomatic mission for the Targaryens to engender goodwill amongst the people. And here the good people are storming the field trying to get to Aryan, presumably to kill him. And I think that just like comparing that to in Game of Thrones, when the crowd storms like Joffrey and Sansa and whatnot early on in the series, it's very life or death, survival. But in this instance with Aryan, it's just very like, it's kind of a comical music score and just like, the cuts and reactions of all the characters, like their faces and whatnot. It looks just all comical. It's not life or death. We need to get the prince out of here or right. We're all going to die kind of thing. It's just, it reminded me kind of like Robin Hood or something. Not because it's people stealing from the rich and giving to the poor, but that kind of tone of, there might be some like conflict and whatnot, but in general, there's not a lot of people dying and it's just like hijinks and that kind of stuff. It's not super serious, obviously. And so I get that kind of vibe from this show sometimes, like kind of Robin Hood-y.
Yeah, I mean, they're in no way trying to keep things light, but they don't always have to make it dark. That was a good, revealing of his true nature, his true character. He's a horse killer. He's a cheater, and now Dunk is opening his eyes to the way the world really works.
Yes, and we'll get going from Raymond having that outburst to then fighting Aryan a few minutes later is definitely a, throwing Dunk into the Arctic Ocean of shocks, just he sees that this is a possible interpretation of the Targaryens' actions and whatnot and how they affect the real people. And then it's applied to him a few minutes later.
Yeah. Egg comes running in to the tent with Raymond and says they're hurting her. And Dunk doesn't even know who her is, but he's just like, what? Where? Because he's a hedge knight. He's going to defend a woman's honor.
Yeah.
Runs into the tent, finds out Aryan didn't like the depiction of a knight killing a dragon since he fancies himself a dragon. And he breaks Tansel's finger right as Dunk gets in, and Dunk loses his shit. Punches Aryan in the face and gets scooped up by the guards. And at this point, you're thinking, well, they're not going to kill him because the show's going to be over. So when first watching this run through, I was like, maybe Baylor's going to walk in. Mm-hmm. He seems to be the Lord with the most cool head on his shoulders, and he might try to defuse the situation. But man, it was just the best ending.
Yeah.
In walks Egg.
Yeah, and I knew Egg, right? Because I haven't read the novellas, I think I've mentioned, but I've watched a bunch of videos, and like I said, Alt Shift X, I've watched a bunch of his stuff breaking down those books and whatnot. So I knew Egg was a Targaryen. But for you, like, how surprising was that? Like,
it was. I mean, this is my favorite episode so far because of that.
Okay.
It's like because Arian said, "Oh, you loosened one of my teeth, so we're gonna knock all of yours out." And his guards hold his face down on the wooden stage, like he's about to curb stomp him.
Yeah.
And you're no, Egg, no. And you're like, oh, poor little guy. He wants to say, no, don't hurt my lord. And they're like, and Dunk says, get out of here, boy, before they beat you. And they're like, oh, well, they're not going to touch me.
Yeah.
I was just like, what's happening? Oh, he's a Targaryen. Oh, it was so good.
Yeah.
It was such a good ending.
Well, who did you think? Because obviously, you know, up until this point, there's clues that Egg is more than what he is, right?
Oh, sure.
Who were you thinking Egg was? Like, just like a random lordling, or?
Honestly, I thought they were just kind of lazy writing, because Dunk is so simple. He needs somebody more worldly to guide him, and it's just like every once in a while you'll have a child character who like has these nuggets of wisdom in film and TV. And I just thought they were like, well, you know, to get ourselves out of this situation, let's just have Egg know everything.
Right.
But no, now it all falls into place. There's a reason Egg knows everything.
Yeah.
He's royalty.
Yeah. That's funny. Oh, man. I didn't even consider that, because I was robbed of that experience of like trying to piece together his identity. And so, yeah, I was just super curious in who you thought it was. The fact that you thought it was kind of just like bad writing and whatnot, that makes it so much better. It really recontextualizes the show. Yeah. It was great writing that they covered up pretty well.
I love those reaction videos where somebody who knows what happens in a film shows it to their kids for the first time for, you know, Sixth Sense or Empire Strikes Back or, you know, The Last of Us, where you see the people and watching it, as it's getting close to the big reveal moment of whatever was like the Red Wedding, like they're looking at the TV, then they look over at their significant other, like, no, wait, what's happening?
What are you showing?
Oh no! Oh my god!
So the Red Wedding is the best version of that.
So I didn't have a Red Wedding, you know, reveal, but I was like, oh, Egg's a Targaryen. Oh, that's so cool. Then it all made sense.
Yep, all falls into place. That's so funny. But yeah, so Egg is Targaryen. He sets the guard straight, and we just end again kind of on, it's not so much a comedy score, but it is kind of like a lighter. I also equate it not only to like Robin Hood, but in this instance with the reactions and the ending of the episode, the music that it's set to kind of reminded me of like, I don't know, like a Knives Out movie or Lemony Snicket or something, where like some reveal happened or events are happening that are serious, like there's serious implications for our characters, but it's almost not sitcom-y in a way, but almost like it just doesn't feel like it has the exact weight,
the gravitas.
In the presentation. Yeah, in the presentation as it does to these characters in the moment, which is not a bad thing. I don't think that's bad. I think it's great for the show and it perfectly matches their tone. But that kind of like dissonance between what the characters are feeling and how it's being presented to us just gives that vibe of like Robin Hood or Lemony Snicket or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, and music is important. It tells you what to feel. I'm finishing up an edit on a new short film that we made, and it's a comedy, and it just, so dry until I put the music in. That's the light, quirky kind of music. Do. Yeah. That makes it funnier.
Mm-hmm.
You know, music tells you when to cry and when to laugh. So it's a very important choices to make when adding music into a scene. To, like you said, it could be dissonant on purpose,
Right.
or match the scene, or, you know, you can't just slapdash a song in there. It has to fit, because it's giving the audience information.
Yeah. Yeah. They play around with the music a little bit more in a later episode, that I am conflicted on, that we'll talk about.
Okay.
But for the most part, the music in this show it presents perfectly the kind of feel that they want you to have, even if it has that dissonance. Of course, it's intentional, and I just love it. It's really what sets it apart from Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon, because there are those sorts of moments.
films.
Yes,
shows.
exactly. Because there are those kinds of moments in those shows, but yeah, the music is really what sells it, because in those moments in the other shows, it's the dark, brooding Game of Thrones song. Mm-hmm. And this one is just kind of like a, what are we going to do about it?
The Adventures of Dunk and Egg.
Exactly. Yep. So yeah, that whole crazy moment was awesome. Again, the behind the scenes videos on this specifically, how they got the camera shots and everything, it was super cool to watch. If you're into that kind of thing, definitely go check those out. But backing up a little bit, real quick, a point about the family tree and whatnot that
right.
I think will help set some context for our characters here, but also blow your mind. So Maekar is the fourth son, so he is last in line of to the throne, and Egg is his fourth son. So I think I made a comment about Arian being the heir for Maekar, like his eldest son. That is not true. Arian is actually the second born, and Raymond mentions that Maekar is out looking for his misbegats.
Right.
Darren is his eldest. We'll get a little bit more on him a little bit later. Egg is his fourth son. Arian is the second. The third one, his name is Aemond. And if you haven't watched Game of Thrones and you don't want a spoiler for a side character, plug your ears.
That name is familiar.
The third son, Aemond, Raymond makes a comment saying, oh, he's so useless that they're going to send him off to be a maester. Do you remember the character, Maester Aemon, from Castle Black in Game of Thrones?
Yeah, the name is familiar.
So he is the super old, like 100-year-old Targaryen Grand Maester at Castle Black that Jon talks to. Grand Maester Aemon from Game of Thrones is Aemon Targaryen, Egg's brother. And when Aemon is dying, he even calls out like, Egg, and whatnot.
Was he blind?
Yes.
Okay, then I think I know who it is.
Very, very old, blind, Sam Tarly helps him out. He gets assigned to Maester Aemon. So that guy, to also help contextualize like how far in the past is this from our main Game of Thrones series, there's probably one person in the whole world who's still alive from this time, and that's Maester Aemon.
Gotcha.
So he's the third son of Maekar Targaryen, which Maekar is himself the fourth son in line to the throne. So there's a lot of degrees of separation. Going back to the fortune teller, a lot of degrees of separation between Egg being king in this fortune teller's, telling of the future, because Maekar is the fourth son and Egg is the fourth son. In order for Egg to be king, that's why he was so freaked out. Is like, is my entire family going to die? Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, that's another layer. Yeah, true.
Because that's the only way he could be king, if they abdicate or, give him the throne, sure. But Targaryens don't do that. So
right.
There's a lot of people who would have to not be in the picture for Egg to become king. And, we don't see a lot of these other Targaryen family members in the show. So I just wanted to contextualize that because it feels a lot smaller when you're just watching the show, but there's still a lot of Targaryens here. And to contextualize some characters coming up, yes, Darren is Maekar's firstborn, Arian is the second, so he feels like he has to prove himself. He's the one worthy of he's the one who Maekar sees as the most worthy So he's trying to prove it to everyone that he's better than his older brother, Darren, and that maybe he deserves to be Makar's heir. Because even if they aren't heir to the throne, right, they do have their own land and holdings and whatnot as part of being the royal family. Arian probably wants that. And he wants to be known as a dragon because he's obsessed with it. Just an interesting detail, though, the stunt actor for Arian in that fight scene with Dunk, where he fucking punches him, and then he backhand punches him, and then he throws him over and kicks him and shit. The stunt actor, his name is Zach, so shout out, represent. Just I want to give him a, this is the day of shout outs from large time creators here at Gates of the West. Haven't even made the channel yet. So literally 0 subscribers. But yeah, so I thought that was a cool detail. And he spells it correctly, Zach. So
there you go.
Double shout out. And so that rounds out our episode here. Awesome. At the beginning, I would not fault anyone for going into this episode thinking like, man, this is okay. Now we've hit the lull.
Yeah.
In the series, and nope.
So many good character moments, and it just a zinger of an ending that totally upends the path of the rest of the show. So you're like, oh, I thought we were going in this direction. It was just going to be the two of them roaming the countryside, finding tournaments and jousting, and a little occasional adventure. No. Now we're going in this direction. Eggs a Targaryen. That totally changes the dynamic. So, when I saw the end of this 3rd episode, I was like, can't wait for more.
Yeah, absolutely. Even though I've watched videos and stuff on these stories, I don't know like the details and whatnot. I just knew Egg was a Targaryen and he squires for Sir Duncan the Tall. But I didn't know about any of this sort of like interaction, like relationship with Sir Arlen and how this goes. I thought this was just going to be attorney, and this was the story of how Dunk wins attorney against all odds.
Right.
It was very clear that like they're not going to just let him go back to a normal tourney after assaulting one of the princes. So what's gonna happen? It gets crazy.
We'll
it's
find
way
out
better
next
than
time.
it's way better than just a normal tourney. So this is an awesome show. I love it. I cannot wait to talk about the next few episodes.
It keeps getting better and better.
Yep. Very, very rare, but it is doing it. It is delivering. So, all right. Thank you all for watching. We will see you in the next one. We've been recording for an hour and 10 minutes, but I'm hoping this will not be another 55-minute breakdown. We'll see. This was a fun one to just nerd out on because of everything. So, but yep. Thank you for watching. We will catch you all in the next one. As you said, live long and prosper.
Well met.
And have a Game of Thrones.
Yes, happy Game of Thrones to you as well.
And cut.
Reminds me of that song. A fuss away, Lion King.
No.
A weem away, a weem away.
Yeah, that's what it is.